A personal injury attorney in Florida allegedly drove her car into 4 people. Said the attorney, "Have you been injured in an accident?" I don't even blame them. I blame us for allowing it. It reminds me of those bum fight videos where they made 2 homeless guys fight for money. And now we look back on it and we're like, how did we as a society let that happen? So I think the best solution is we should just tell Trump and Biden that they both won. And on surrogate motherhood, which he says violates the dignity of the woman and the child. Plus, the Catholic Church doesn't want extra kids around while they're trying to quit.
Congress passed a bill that makes lynching a federal hate crime punishable by up to 30 years in prison. And they're not messing around. You can get 150 days for just making one up.
It's hard to do. See? JetBlue and Spirit Airlines announced that they are canceling their planned merger after a federal judge told JetBlue, "Girl, don't."
Should I just go home? I'm gonna go home.
A Pennsylvania man has been sentenced to 2 years probation for selling body parts for mortuaries, but still no punishment for the buyer, Arby's. And you may have already forgotten, but this week was also the vice presidential debate between Mumford and Dad. This debate was so white it made me look Haitian. Dunkin' has announced a new beverage called the Shamrock Macchiato, which combines espresso, vanilla, and Irish cream. It's the festive, sugary drink that will have you saying "top o' the morning" and losing the bottom o' your leg.
You know, you always say that.
Yeah, I always say that. I was in confidence. Disney announced that they'll be making 2 more sequels to Frozen. But by the time they come out, the only thing frozen will be Elsa's eggs. She wants a career. Federal officials have charged 2 men for allegedly killing more than 3,000 protected birds, including bald eagles. But on the other hand, best weekend of our lives.
The Japanese movie Godzilla -1 received a surprise Oscar nomination for its visual effects. Also receiving nominations, the Godzilla prequel, Oppenheimer. Day for me, man.
For the first time ever, 2 male humpback whales were photographed having sex. Learn more about it in the heartbreaking drama Humpback Mountain.
Tesla owners are complaining that during the sub-zero temperatures that swept through the country, they couldn't get their cars to charge. But on the plus side, they were able to stay warm in the battery fires.
Matt Gaetz said his office would be open to hiring Kyle Rittenhouse as a congressional intern, because Gaetz has always loved teenagers who are willing to do terrible things. Steve Bannon, seen here ordering 1 new liver, please, surrendered to the FBI on contempt of Congress charges and said, "We are taking down the Biden regime." Well, I hate to break it to you, Steve, but I think Biden's got that covered all on his own. Bannon addressed his supporters in a live stream on Getter, a social media platform popular with Trump allies. Getter is named after what its users say whenever they see a woman walking alone.
The woman marched with King. MJ, the musical about the life of Michael Jackson, has become one of the highest grossing shows on Broadway. And my review of the acting is the same as my opinion of MJ's trial. Michael is amazing, but the kids are not believable at all.
Senator Lindsey Graham, who gives this exact same look at the urinal, created a controversy on Twitter by suggesting that Russians should end the war in Ukraine by assassinating Vladimir Putin. It is a shocking, disgusting example of Lindsey Graham being kind of right about something. Elon Musk, seen here trying to jump to Mars, joined Trump on stage at the rally tonight, which may be the last time Trump and Musk will be together until they co-host our Christmas show. Biden also got a big response while addressing the issue of abortion when he said, "We're about to find out how much political power women have." Then he turned to Kamala and said, "Except you."
Multiple women have posted videos on TikTok claiming that while walking the streets of New York, they were randomly punched by men. Well then, damn, get the hell out of my way, bitch. And speaking of bitches, I want to call out the biggest bitch of all, Kendrick Lamar.
Tell me to calm down because y'all talk noise and then you're out of control.
Jerry. Feels like I'm watching the Waffle House of Representatives. Pet experts are warning people not to bring their dogs to watch next month's solar eclipse, saying that it could be too stressful for them. Pet experts also want you to know that they're looking for real work.
And look, I know that this seems like a huge step backwards for our country, but we have to remember that progress isn't just a straight line upwards, okay? It's a weird roller coaster where sometimes you're screaming for joy and other times you're barfing in your own face.
A number of sports bars around the country are promising to only show women's basketball games during March Madness. The bars are known collectively as the empty ones. Fox News presidential candidate Nikki Haley said that America has, quote, never been a racist country. Because if Americans were so racist, why did they have sex with their slaves? I'm gonna sleep like a baby tonight, I really am. Royal experts are saying that Queen Elizabeth's health has entered a different phase and the public may not see her until February. So you know what that means. New titties. I loved it. Business leaders in Miami are hoping to make the city the cryptocurrency capital of the country because just like crypto, Miami won't be around in about 20 years.
Sources also say that Trump is considering giving a preemptive pardon to Rudy Giuliani, I assume for Rudy's crime of murdering his own legacy. Giuliani, seen here emerging from the vat of chemicals he fell into while fighting Batman, continued to strengthen his eventual insanity defense when he went to Michigan to push his voter fraud conspiracy theories. And yes, at one point in the hearing, Giuliani audibly farted. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Michael Che.
I'm Colin.
Walmart announced that members of its Walmart Plus subscription service will be able to take advantage of Black Friday sales 4 hours early. Experts believe it could be the most violent gathering of Walmart shoppers since January 6th.
After weeks of intense media scrutiny, Facebook is reportedly planning to change its company name. So if you want to know how Facebook is handling the pressure, the answer is exactly as well as Kanye. A video was posted of a recent Smash Mouth. A video was posted of a recent Smash Mouth concert in which, a recent Smash Mouth concert in which the lead singer is seen slurring his words, doing a Nazi salute, and threatening to kill an audience member. And it gets worse. He then started singing.
At his CNN town hall, President Biden discussed the importance of addressing mental health, saying, "A broken spirit is no different than a broken arm." Well, if I keep betting on the Giants, I'm going to have both.
This is our Halloween episode, guys, so I wanted to start by showing you the most haunting image I saw this week. No, not that, actually. That's just Kanye. Sorry, Ye. He goes by Ye now, even though no one looks at this and thinks, yay. The haunting image I was thinking about was actually this. A TikTok went viral of a squirrel that appeared to be holding hands with a woman. See, it's like Che always says, gay marriage is a slippery slope. The International Handball Federation's agreed to allow female players to wear bike shorts instead of bikini bottoms, but they're still insisting that refs use this whistle. Former President Trump was filmed doing the tomahawk chop at a World Series game in Atlanta. Native American groups said they found it extremely offensive to see their culture associated with someone who can't even run a successful casino.
Pfizer announced that it has developed an antiviral pill that can reduce hospitalization among COVID patients by nearly 90%. And even better, it makes you harder than trigonometry. Stephen Sweeney, the New Jersey Senate president, lost his re-election bid in an upset to a truck driver named Edward Durr. Coincidentally, Durr is also the New Jersey state motto.
Our top story tonight, like it's been for as long as I can remember, infrastructure. Last night, the House passed President Biden's $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, which should be enough to clean as many as 2 of LaGuardia's bathrooms. The infrastructure bill will also expand internet access across the U.S., which is great news because when has more internet ever been bad for America? I mean, come on, the guy just turned 79, half the country already thinks he's senile. You can't drop all that on him the second he comes out of the gas. I actually can't believe how well it went. Remember David after the dentist? I'm surprised we didn't get Biden after the colonoscopy.
On Friday,
It's not real, guys. It was announced that for the first time ever, Disney parks will feature black Santa Clauses, unfortunately as part of a villains parade.
Mel Gibson is reportedly in talks to direct a new Lethal Weapon movie, but if you want to see a broken down black guy team up with a handsome racist, just watch Weekend Update. A Washington, D.C. art school is postponing renaming its theater after alumni Dave Chappelle following his Netflix special controversy. Well, of course, because God forbid you should name a building after someone problematic in Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, my old high school insists on keeping the Michael Che Sucks Butt bathroom stocked.
Well, yesterday was a weird one for President Biden. He went under anesthesia for a colonoscopy, and when he woke up, the House had passed a $2 trillion social safety net bill. The Rittenhouse verdict was announced, and a woman had technically been president for the first time ever. And while Biden was processing all that, he was rushed off to pardon a turkey named Peanut Butter. In the latest episode of Gwyneth Paltrow's new Netflix show Sex, Love, and Goop, a sexologist explained how people can experience full-body orgasms while fully clothed without touching, which is also what happens when your mom watches Bridgerton. This one, yeah, there we go, that's my guy. Because this week, former White House, I want to say garbage man, Steve Bannon was held in contempt of Congress, but this is what Bannon wants. You know, just plays into this whole persecuted Messiah complex, though Bannon is similar to Jesus in that he looks like he's been dead for 3 days.
The head of Chicago's police union is urging officers to defy the city's vaccine mandate, which is weird because usually Chicago police can't wait to take the shot.
The FDA authorized the mixing and matching of booster shots and vaccines as we enter the just winging it phase of the pandemic. Seriously, when it comes to medication, when has your doctor ever said, just mix and match? It's all good. Taste the rainbow. Who's the head of the FDA now? Lil Wayne? It was reported that mothers in California are trying to pass on COVID vaccine antibodies to their children by making them smoothies with their breast milk. Oh, sure, but when I ask for that, I'm escorted out of Jamba Juice.
National Impotency Awareness Month began on Monday, and I, for one, thought it'd never come. Smith College has become the first women's college to eliminate student debt by replacing loans with grants, because a lady should never have to pay. An 81-year-old pharmacist in Pennsylvania was arrested for allegedly trading drugs for sexual favors. Wow, so he's a pharmacist now. That's good. Republican Winsome Sears, seen here attempting suicide by cop, was elected as Virginia's first black female lieutenant governor. But this is actually a win for Democrats because nothing will get Republicans to support gun control faster than this picture.
In the wake of Republican success in this week's elections, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy announced that Republicans would introduce a Parents' Bill of Rights, which I'm pretty sure is just a sign you could buy at Home Goods. A professor at a college in Virginia is being criticized after saying that it is not immoral for adults to be sexually attracted to children. Find out why in his new book. Wait, hold on, hear me out. This week, the U.S. experienced the longest partial lunar eclipse in nearly 600 years. Scientists say the eclipse began when your mama got on the trampoline.
New research shows that before honeybees are killed by murder hornets, they scream a rally cry to other bees who sadly just film the attack on their phones.
A man surprised his girlfriend by bringing her on stage to propose to her during an Adele concert. Then they sat down and listened to an hour of songs about divorce. Matt Gaetz said his office would be open to hiring Kyle Rittenhouse as a congressional intern, because Gaetz has always loved teenagers who are willing to do terrible things. Steve Bannon, seen here ordering one new liver, please. Pfizer also reported Friday that its COVID vaccine for children is 90% effective. Meanwhile, Johnson & Johnson reported that their COVID vaccine for children is just Capri Sun.
A Star Wars themed house has been listed for sale in Florida, but in Florida, Star Wars theme just means it was owned by siblings who kiss. After trying for several years, the New York City Commission voted to remove a statue of Thomas Jefferson from City Hall. They were finally able to remove it by telling the statue there was a hot black lady outside.
Also at the town hall, President Biden admitted that he has not yet had time to visit the southern border, though his approval rating has. Insiders are also saying that during meetings, President Biden repeatedly uses the F word in conversation. More concerning, the F word he keeps using is forget.
Senator Kirsten Sinema, who hates the attention, says she is opposed to raising taxes on the wealthy to pay for President Biden's agenda. Finally, someone speaking up for billionaires, because it's so hard to hear them from space. Donald Trump announced the launch of his own social media network he's calling Truth Social, but most people know it by its original name, the National Sex Offender Registry. A plastic surgeon posted a video on TikTok claiming that the rumor is true that the size of a person's nose has a direct connection to the size of his penis. Oh, so that's why Camilla's smiling.
30,000 people were locked inside Shanghai Disneyland after one visitor tested positive for COVID. So let this be a lesson to all you kids out there. If you aren't more careful about COVID, you'll end up living at Disney World. A high school principal has apologized for unsportsmanlike conduct of the school's football team after they beat another team 106-0. Apology accepted, said the Jets. With his victory, Eric Adams will become New York's second black mayor, not to be confused with the New York mayor who blacks out. Adams defeated Republican Curtis Sliwa, who will now return to his previous job as Emily in Paris' lawyer.
Democrat Terry McAuliffe lost to Republican Glenn Youngkin in the Virginia governor's race, but on the bright side, losers from Virginia usually get a statue. Political experts say that the Republican victory in Virginia's governor's race was fueled by support from white women who didn't go to college, which just so happens to be the same exact group I target on Tinder.
Surrendered to the FBI on contempt of Congress charges and said, "We are taking down the Biden regime." Well, I hate to break it to you, Steve, but I think Biden's got that covered all on his own. Bannon addressed his supporters in a live stream on Getter, a social media platform popular with Trump allies. Getter is named after what its users say whenever they see a woman walking alone.
Royal experts are saying that Queen Elizabeth's health has entered a different phase and the public may not see her until February. So you know what that means. New titties.
Thanks. That wasn't a dress. Anyway, a self-portrait by Frida Kahlo was sold at auction for the record sum of $34 million, a price that definitely raised some eyebrow. Some of my best work. Arizona Congressman Paul Gosar, seen here watching an interracial couple walk by, has officially been censured after posting a violent anime video that depicted him killing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. But I don't know, he's a 60-year-old man who makes his own anime. When he heard he was getting punished, he was probably like, "Is it nipple clamps?"
On Friday, Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty in the murder of 2 men during a Black Lives Matter protest. So hopefully he got all that shooting out of his system before he becomes a cop. Protests are being held all around the country in response to the acquittal of Kyle Rittenhouse, which is brave because Rittenhouse just got off for shooting protesters. I don't know, maybe don't tempt him?
AMC Theaters is celebrating Black History Month by offering $5 tickets to recently released Black-led movies like Wakanda Forever and The Woman King. They're also honoring Black people by starting the movie 20 minutes late. Did you get that, Colin?
I don't even know what you're talking about. During a White House ceremony, President Biden wished Kamala Harris a happy birthday, then accidentally called her a great president. Even worse, he was talking to a portrait of Michelle Obama. This week, Elon Musk officially bought Twitter for $44 billion, beating out the next highest offer of $0.
Rishi Sunak will become Great Britain's first ever Prime Minister of Indian descent. Said his mom, okay, why not king?
Oh, God. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, for the first time, denied months-old rumors that he had died and been replaced by a look-alike from Sudan. See, even Africans can't tell black people.
We're searching for a suspect who hijacked a bus and then immediately crashed it into a utility pole. Okay, so we know it's a woman.
An American woman set a new record by visiting every country in the world in 19 months. And after all that travel, she found the one thing that had been inside her all along: Zika. A new study finds that during the pandemic, students' math scores dropped by almost 10%. Wow, so more than half.
A new study finds that frogs in the rainforest have a higher pitch call than urban frogs. The study also finds that female frogs be shopping.
It was reported that the Boy Scouts of America are considering filing for bankruptcy in the face of declining membership. Yeah, apparently there's some problem with their business model of hoping parents will pay adult strangers to take their children deep into the woods.
Program users who is looking at their pictures. Uh-oh, said a bunch of high school teachers.
Okay. A church in Massachusetts has created a nativity scene that comments on the immigration debate by placing the baby Jesus in a cage, where he belongs. Actor Jared Leto climbed to the top of the Empire State Building to promote his band 30 Seconds to Mars. The way the promotion works is, if we buy enough albums, he'll jump.
A new survey shows that 92% of adults prefer to date someone who's been to therapy, while 8% prefer good sex.
The location of Sex Island, that's a terrible transition. I didn't know those were going to be back-to-back. It's a weird badge to get. The location of Sex Island, which is a 4-day drug-fueled event featuring prostitutes and an exclusive resort, has been revealed to be an island off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago. This, according to the plane ticket I saw in Shay's hand.
See you there. Kanye West has now been dropped by Adidas, The Gap, Balenciaga, and all bar mitzvah playlists. In the wake of Kanye's anti-Semitic comments, Adidas said it will stop making Yeezy shoes. Fans of Yeezy say it's the worst thing to happen to them since any puddle.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Michael Che.
I'm Colin Jost. Well, great news for conservatives. New York is finally cracking down on crime. Former President Donald Trump was indicted for his role in paying hush money to porn star Stormy Daniels, and the trial will be like a Stormy Daniels movie because I'm deeply ashamed at how excited I am to watch it.
On Monday, Donald Trump testified under oath in his civil fraud trial, though technically he was never sworn in because the Bibles kept bursting into flames.
former president and current courtroom sketch model Donald Trump testified on the stand for the first time in over 10 years, and it's fun that nobody is 100% sure which trial this sketch is from.
Trump is reportedly being charged with 34 counts of business fraud. Business fraud is also what they call the Trump costume at Spirit Halloween. President Biden on Friday told reporters that he had no comment on Trump's indictment, and then he danced away like the Six Flags guy.
Biden also took time in his speech to say that shrinkflation is affecting Snickers bars and that people pay the same amount for 10% fewer Snickers. And I got to give him credit because it's pretty risky for a white guy with a stutter to keep saying the word Snickers.
In an interview, Senator Mitt Romney said that he will not vote for Donald Trump over Joe Biden. Now, some of you may remember Mitt Romney.
After a judge issued a gag order against President Trump, Trump told reporters that the judge said, basically, I don't have the right to speak. Then he added, she's like literally killing me. Then he yelled, you're not even my real mom, and slammed his bedroom door.
Donald Trump said the results of the 2020 election should be overturned and called for the termination of the Constitution. Trump plans to terminate the Constitution by asking Herschel Walker to drive it to the clinic.
A new report from the White House claims that President Biden's billions of dollars of student loan relief will disproportionately help Latinos, which has earned Biden the nickname El Papa de Sugar. I think in general that people might be overreacting to this indictment. Like an actual headline on CNN yesterday was, nothing in American history approaches the tumult of the charging and possible trial and conviction of a former president. A more accurate headline would be, man we all knew was criminal may be criminal. At this point it feels like even pro-Trump people have moved on. I mean, I went down to the courthouse today and I was the only protester there.
Insiders said that during his hush money trial, Donald Trump complained that none of his supporters were in court with him. But that's not true. What about all those cops?
Trump's lawyer, Joe Tacopina, a.k.a. Phony Soprano, said he doesn't think Trump is going to get a fair trial in Manhattan, and I agree. I mean, even the courtroom sketch artist seems to hate him. I thought Trump looked perfectly nice. He had blended his foundation, stapled down his hair, but then he drew him like the mud monster from Scooby-Doo.
A new poll shows that supporters of President Biden and Donald Trump are sharply divided over where they get their news from. People who support Biden are more likely to get their news from newspapers and mainstream media, while Trump supporters get their news from T-shirts.
It happened. And yesterday on Truth Social, Trump posted a courtroom sketch of him sitting next to Jesus. Because if there's one guy whose trial famously ended well, it's Jesus. Former President Donald Trump, seen here definitely not sleeping. He's probably just praying. Former President Trump, for the first time in his trial, wrote a message on a yellow Post-it note and handed it to his lawyer while he was making an argument. The Post-it read simply, "Can't pay you."
President Biden signed a measure that would force railway workers to accept a deal that averts a strike but does not include paid sick leave. Why do you expect Biden to care about sick leave when he shows up to work every day with full-blown CTE?
Donald Trump urged his supporters to brave the sub-zero temperatures in Iowa to vote for him, saying, even if you vote and then pass away, it's worth it. Voting for Trump and then passing away is also what happened with COVID.
Newly released video of a deposition to New York's Attorney General's office shows former President Trump taking the fifth hundreds of times. Also taking the fifth, his lawyer.
This week, Donald Trump Jr. testified in his father's civil fraud trial, and based on this courtroom sketch, I feel like it didn't go great. He's supposed to be talking about real estate, but he looks like he's on Law and Order saying, "That girl came on to me." And unlike the other packed courtroom days, only 4 people showed up, and Donald Trump Sr. was not present, which is just like all of Don Jr.'s childhood birthday parties.
Donald Trump said that at the debates he wants both of them to stand instead of sit. So that's the status of our presidency. Standing is a feat of strength. I think we can learn a lot more watching them both try to get out of a beanbag chair.
After Trump was photographed with some strange red marks on his hand, some dermatologists speculated it could be something called hand herpes. "What the hell is hand herpes?" said Tim Scott.
Michael Colin testified that Trump would look at the total value of his assets and say, "I'm actually not worth $4.5 billion. I'm really worth more like 6. 4.5 is basically 6 is also what he tells Melania."
Michael Cohen, whose cologne I can smell through this picture, testified against Donald Trump this week. Cohen was portrayed by Trump's attorneys as someone who hated Donald Trump and was trying to get revenge. But the only evidence of that comes from Cohen's upcoming book, "I Hate Donald Trump and I'm Trying to Get Revenge."
McConnell officially endorsed Donald Trump for president because despite their differences, they actually go way back. Donald Trump endorsed Mark Robinson for North Carolina governor, calling Robinson Martin Luther King on steroids. Not to be confused with Martin Luther King on Ozempic. All right, you go again, Colin. I don't know. I don't have it today.
I'm glad you told it. Senator Mitch McConnell, seen here watching someone get injured at the Special Olympics, said that he is not concerned with threats Donald Trump makes at his rallies to remove him as Senate Minority Leader. In fact, McConnell says the threats make him laugh harder than his favorite comedy show, Dahmer. Mitch McConnell, seen here watching the bank foreclose on a single mother, says that he has completely recovered after 2 incidents where he appeared to freeze up and become unresponsive. But suspiciously, he made the comments while being held up by 2 guys in beachwear. Senator Mitch McConnell, seen here being told a black woman made a country album, has come out in favor of a bill that would potentially ban TikTok in the U.S. Of course, for McConnell, TikTok is just what the Grim Reaper says while tapping his watch. Former president and current reverse mortgage applicant Colin criticized Biden's speech, saying the words are not flowing smoothly out of his mouth. Well, we can't all speak with the same effortless grace as Donald J. Trump.
Just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will
It sounds like someone just inserted a colonoscopy camera.
The FAA revealed that Donald Trump's Boeing 757 clipped a parked plane when it landed in Florida. But the good news is Donald Trump flies around in a Boeing. So.
This trial must have driven Trump crazy. The judge kept telling him to shut up. The jury made him pay triple what the victim asked for. Even the courtroom sketch artist made him look like that lady who got her face ripped off by a monkey. The only way this could have gone worse for Trump is if they took away his businesses, which is, of course, what happens in next week's trial. Senator Rick Scott, seen here learning that Harry Potter has fallen into his trap, announced that he is running for re-election, promising to finish the border wall and name it after Donald Trump, even though most things named after Donald Trump are complete failures.
That was my best joke, Colin.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said next week she will force a vote to oust House Speaker Mike Johnson. And if there's one thing I bet she's amazing at, it's driving men away. A Saudi prince has reportedly spent more than $15,000 to buy seats on a flight for his pet falcons, 80 of them. And then all hell broke loose when they started the in-flight movie, Stuart Little.
This week, Jeb Bush said that he would go back in time and kill Adolf Hitler as a baby, a move that would have left Germany in the weak, bumbling hands of Adolf's brother, Jeb Hitler. The owner of a bakery was sued after she refused the customer's request to write "God hates homosexuality" on a cake. All right, then change it to "I'm running for president," said Rick Santorum.
So everyone saw Justin Bieber's penis this week. Also, everyone felt the need to tell me about it. Like, my friend's mom saw it, and she was like, "Hey, it's not that bad." That seemed to be a lot of people's reaction, you know? It wasn't like tiny enough to be like, "Ha!" But it also wasn't big enough to be like, "Wow." Tomorrow is Easter Sunday, so to all you Christians out there, happy Easter. And to the Jews, nice try.
A brand of peanut butter is being sold called Steam, which contains more caffeine than a Red Bull. Perfect for that creep who wants their dog to just go to town down there.
Ohio police arrested a woman who allegedly stabbed her boyfriend for eating all of their salsa. Though you'd be angry too if your boyfriend was jalapeno business.
It was reported that a Taco Bell in Chicago may soon start selling alcohol, which is weird because usually it's alcohol that sells Taco Bell.
Garth Brooks claims that he has lost all of the new material for an upcoming album after his phone containing the songs died, or more likely, killed itself.
At this year's International Water Tasting Contest, Hamilton, Ohio won for having the best tasting water, while the town with the worst tasting water is Dookieville, Illinois.
A Pennsylvania college student has made a fully functional Batman costume that can withstand punches, machetes, and baseball bats. He's just like the real Batman, except his parents only wish they were dead.
A new Justice Department report claims that the American DEA agents in Colombia participated in sex parties with prostitutes hired by drug cartels. In response to this incredibly irresponsible behavior, the agents have been promoted to Secret Service. According to a new study, marijuana is the safest recreational drug people can use. Huh, interesting, said a million black dudes in jail for marijuana.
New research shows that the pre-human Lucy probably lived in trees. So either pre-humans were more ape-like than previously thought, or that bitch cray. Well,
a new study shows that people with a vegetarian diet may live longer. Okay, but for what? In an effort to draw attention to National Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Minnesota, more than 10,000 bras were hooked together and hung from a crane. Well, I do not want to know how Minnesota celebrates Black History Month.
it was reported that Sam Smith has agreed to pay Tom Petty royalties for his hit song Stay With Me due to its resemblance to Petty's song I Won't Back Down, while Petty has agreed to pay royalties to Disney due to his resemblance to Jiminy Cricket.
No, I'm just kidding. Police in Nebraska arrested a man for marijuana possession after discovering the drug in his car inside a container that was marked not weed. It was marked not weed. The police pulled the man over after he sped by their car, which was also marked not police.
The creator of the Home Shopping Network died this week at the age of 79. or just 4 easy installments of $19.99. I want to quote our host from the monologue. Police at Kennedy Airport arrested a man after they found cocaine hidden in 3 cans of tuna. He faces up to 10 years for the cocaine and the death penalty for bringing tuna onto an airplane. October is Polish American Heritage Month. For more information about Poland, you can Google it by sticking out your finger and having 2 other people move the keyboard up and down.
3 rhinos at a zoo in Israel escaped after a guard fell asleep, starring Kevin James.
I'm bleeding out, but I'm bleeding for the sake of me. Damn, baby, you will make my heart beat. And I'll be drinking my wine. You really did it this time. And don't ask me if I'm...
The parents of a 6-year-old Indonesian boy who is addicted to smoking say that he is cut down to 5 cigarettes a day. Now that's very impressive considering how stressed he's been at the sneaker factory.
The Supreme Court announced that in June, they will decide once and for all whether same-sex marriage is constitutional, which leaves opponents just 6 months to break in, steal the Constitution, and change it to "We the People, no homo."
A candy store in Los Angeles has created a 440-pound peanut butter cup. It's called CeeLo. A man on an African safari fell off a horse while being chased by a lion. Well, that was a close one, said the horse.
In clown news, clowns in Arizona are rallying in support of their profession by organizing a Clown Lives Matter rally. Because nothing reassures people like an angry mob of clowns. Even worse, the clowns are inviting children to the rally, which takes place deep in the woods. Bernie Sanders has received the endorsement of the American Postal Workers Union, and nothing has ever made more sense than that. I mean, Bernie Sanders looks like if the post office became a person. I don't know, either they're endorsing him or they just issued a new stamp honoring Martin Van Buren. It was reported that students in a school district in Tennessee were served meat that was 6 years old, which raises the question, where's Tyler? Disney has received permission to fly drones over its theme parks in an effort to capture or kill Aladdin. A new study finds that people can improve their sleep by camping outside for a week during the winter. The study was published by Hungry Wolves. According to a new study, the antidepressant Paxil may also be capable of treating heart disease, which explains Paxil's new slogan, "Paxil, maybe this is what it does?"
The royal family announced that the name of Prince William and Kate's baby girl is Charlotte Elizabeth Diana. They chose the name Diana for William's mother, Elizabeth for his grandmother, and Charlotte for, of course, the 1992 Charlotte Hornets. A new report says the best place in the world for retirees is Switzerland, while the worst place for retirees is still at the top of a staircase.
Mitt Romney is reportedly considering running for president in 2016. In a related story, Charlie Brown is planning on finally kicking that football. Disney this week unveiled Elena, its first Latina princess. Oh, sure, but when I call someone a Latina princess, I'm ruining the quinceañera.
How many quinceañeras are you going to, man? First address ever by a Japanese leader to Congress, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe offered condolences for Americans killed during World War II. Abe then asked, so you guys have anything from World War II that you want to apologize for?
Insider said that during his hush money trial, Donald Trump complained that none of his supporters were in court with him. But that's not true. What about all those cops? On Monday, Donald Trump testified under oath in his civil fraud trial, though technically he was never sworn in because the Bibles kept... Oh my God, Drake just dropped another diss record, guys!
I'm just kidding. I just say that when I bomb.
Yesterday, Mike Johnson, whose position as House Speaker is in jeopardy, traveled to Mar-a-Lago for a meeting with Donald Trump, and boy is his jaw tired.
That eventually got applaud?
Israeli officials at Columbia University complained that protesters broke windows and destroyed school property. But so what? College kids also do that when they win the Final Four. Also, you're a university. If you really don't want students to freak out, stop telling them the truth. That's my advice for school and relationships. During Congress's final day before the holiday break, the House passed legislation that would end a ban on whole milk in school cafeterias. Finally, let's get these kids thick.
It's a nice place. At a White House ceremony honoring the WNBA champion Las Vegas Aces, President Biden mistakenly called player Candace Parker one of the greatest all-time coaches. Worse, he thought this woman was their point guard.
President Biden said that the National Guard should not be called in to deal with campus protests, but I'm just happy that he's finally not sending military aid somewhere.
That was my best joke, Colin.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said next week she would force a vote to oust House Speaker Mike Johnson. And if there's one thing I bet she's amazing at, it's driving men away.
During a ceremony in Russia, Vladimir Putin was sworn in for his 5th term as president by placing his hand on the Russian Constitution, which is just a label on a bottle of vodka.
A new report from the White House claims that President Biden's billions of dollars of student loan relief will disproportionately help Latinos, which has earned Biden the nickname El Papa de Sugar.
New York City officials are considering controlling the city's growing rat population by using birth control pellets, which will also finally let female rats focus on their careers. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Florida's new abortion ban means that the majority of women in the South will have to travel more than 300 miles for the procedure. On the plus side, you can get free travel to New York by disguising yourself as a migrant.
I knew it was going to come out of you someday.
Today was the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby, also known among horses as Squid Game. A new plant has opened in Iceland, which is designed to remove climate pollution from the atmosphere using the world's largest vacuum. A new vacuum, just in time for Mother's Day.
I don't know why I thought you'd like that.
There was actually an error in the LA Times obituary for O.J. Simpson in the section about his prison time. Instead of writing O.J. walked out of the Lovelock Correctional Center, they wrote Trump walked out of the Lovelock Correctional Center a free man for the first time in 9 years. And it's not a great sign for Trump that even autocorrect thinks he belongs in jail.
President Biden met with Japan's Prime Minister where they discussed building a new bullet train system in America using advanced Japanese technology. In return, Japan requested the advanced American technology of forks. A new poll shows that supporters of President Biden and Donald Trump are sharply divided over where they get their news from. People who support Biden are more likely to get their news from newspapers and mainstream media, while Trump supporters get their news from T-shirts. A growing number of women who use...
Just today, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social that he wasn't scared of going to jail for violating a gag order, saying, "I will gladly become a modern-day Nelson Mandela." Unfortunately for Halloween.
I don't think that's going to make the show.
I think someone screamed. Donald Trump also told supporters that if he's elected, he will focus on anti-white racism. Thank God. My people have suffered long enough. Sorry, Che, but time's up.
Iowa's Final Four game against UConn was the most watched women's college basketball game ever, with 14.2 million viewers, beating the previous record by 14.2 million viewers.
A dog was rescued after it fell off a 50-foot cliff into a quarry. Next time, said Kristi Noem.
A worker on a cruise ship heading to Alaska was arrested for attacking 3 passengers with scissors. He was eventually subdued by a passenger with rock. A woman revealed that she accidentally ordered a cocktail that cost $2,000. Ingredients of the $2,000 drink included gin, vermouth, and a MacBook Pro. See, that was a sweet one.
Disneyland has announced that it's permanently closing its attraction Beast's Library and replacing it with, well, this is weird, Gaston's Gay Gym. This year marks the first time since 2009 that a Marvel movie has not kicked off the summer movie season, which better be a one-time thing because a lot of people rely on Marvel movies to pay for the fairies they bought.
Fishermen in Florida have discovered a 214-year-old clam that was born the same year as Abraham Lincoln. The clam credits his longevity to staying away from the theater. You never know, Colin.
Some owners of McDonald's franchises are reportedly concerned about a campaign partnership with Cardi B, especially the ad where they claim their burgers have a wet-ass patty.
The WNBA will soon allow teams traveling for away games to fly on private charter planes, which previously only happened after they were released from Russian prison. This might be my favorite show. This is my Emmy show. A new report shows that the gender death gap is rising, with men dying an average of 6 years before women, which is, it's actually scientific proof that men are actually dying a little every time we have to listen to your boring-ass story. Wednesday, the reigning Miss Teen USA announced that she was giving up her title. Man, this week keeps getting worse and worse for Drake.
Here we see President Clinton looking for something, anything, to hug besides his wife.
It was announced that Creed singer Scott Stapp will play Frank Sinatra in an upcoming movie. But the good news is Sammy Davis Jr. will be played by Scarlett Johansson.
Last week on Larry King Live, Marlon Brando made the shocking statement that Hollywood is, quote, run by Jews. In response, outraged Jewish organizations made it snow in New York in April.
Well, tennis player, ophthalmologist, transsexual Dr. Renee Richards is writing a book about her life. It is tentatively titled Tennis Without Balls.
Well, this coming Monday is Oscar night, and 3 films, The English Patient, Secrets and Lies, and Shine, are locked in a tight race in the category Best Picture There's Not a Chance in Hell I Will Ever See.
The co-founder of the Waffle House passed away this week at the age of 97. He died the way so many Waffle House patrons have, a knife fight in the parking lot.
A sad piece of news came in today from the Bedford Hills Prison, where Jean Harris is serving a sentence of 15 years. At noon yesterday, she made her second suicide attempt. 2 cellmates, 3 wardens, and a priest were killed.
Real estate mogul Donald Trump announced this week that after 3.5 years of marriage, he is seeking a divorce from wife Marla Maples. According to Trump, Maples violated part of their marriage agreement when she decided to turn 30. Unacceptable.
The bat used by Babe Ruth to hit his 500th home run was auctioned off this week. Also, I'll be auctioning off the bat I used to keep my neighborhood white.
The Pentagon announced yesterday that U.S. and British planes had struck Iraqi air defense sites south of Baghdad. Defense officials say the president wanted to send a clear message to the Iraqi government that he knows exactly where Iraq is.
Who are safer drivers, men or women? Well, according to a new survey, 55% of adults feel that women are most responsible for minor fender benders, while 78% blame men for most fatal crashes. Please note that the percentages in these pie graphs do not add up to 100% because the math was done by a woman. For those of you hissing at that joke, it should be noted that that joke was written by a woman. So, now you don't know what the hell to do, do you? No, I'm just kidding. We don't hire women.
Well, a new report ranks the New York City subway system as the best in the country. This was according to Masturbating Hobo Monthly.
In an interview this month, Matthew McConaughey said that he wants to die the same way his father did, right after having sex. McConaughey's mother has said absolutely not.
Warner Brothers is producing a new movie in which Superman is black. And a black Superman actually makes a lot of sense when you remember that Superman was abandoned by his parents as a baby.
Pop singer Madonna was outraged this week when a tabloid photographer snapped her picture while she was breastfeeding her new baby. Apparently, the baby was blocking her nipple.
Warner Brothers is producing a new movie in which Superman is black. In this version, Black Superman's kryptonite is an honest day's work.
A new trend on the internet is photos of people planking, which is the act of lying face down, keeping one's body stiff while balancing on top of something, or what Protestants call sex.
Apple has announced that it will add hundreds of new emojis to its iOS system, including a person at a spa, a vomiting face, and a shushing finger, finally giving emoji fans the ability to describe what it was like to work for Harvey Weinstein.
Hollywood prostitute Divine Brown has written a book describing in lurid detail exactly what she did with Hugh Grant. The book sells for $25, but for $35 she'll show you.
A family in Australia has discovered what is believed to be the world's oldest message in a bottle, which was thrown into the sea over 130 years ago by a then middle-aged Bernie Sanders.
After closing out a successful first season, the WNBA is considering several changes to improve the level of play in the league next year. Among the proposals, extending the playoffs, increasing salaries, bringing back the three-point line, and replacing all the female players with guys.
How How is no one keeping track of how many guns people own? There is a real law in Texas that says it's illegal to own more than 6 dildos. And I get why. No one needs that many. If you have more than 6 dildos, it's a clear sign you are training for something awful.
Thanks, I'm Norm MacDonald, and now the fake news. Well, it is finally official. Murder is legal in the state of California. Testimony during the final week provided some spellbinding moments. In a brilliant move during closing arguments, Simpson attorney Johnny Cochran put on the knit cap prosecutors say O.J. wore the night he committed the murders. Although O.J. may have hurt his case when he suddenly blurted out, "Hey, easy with that. That's my lucky stabbing hat."
A new poll shows that Hillary Clinton's poll numbers have dropped 2 points since she made her presidential campaign official. Because for some reason, once a woman makes it official, we suddenly start to lose interest.
Oprah Winfrey's longtime boyfriend, Stedman Graham, has written a new book called You Can Make It Happen, a 9-step plan for success. Step number 1, become Oprah Winfrey's boyfriend. Then the other 8 will just hang around.
It was reported that Yahoo and AOL will combine to form a new company because no one wants to die alone.
Is the First Lady a compulsive liar, though? It's beginning to look that way. In an interview on last night's 2020, intended to promote her new book, It Takes a Village, Mrs. Clinton folded under tough questioning by Barbara Walters and admitted that, in fact, it does not take a village, and furthermore, that she was aware that it does not take a village when she wrote the damn book.